Hi students, welcome to lesson number 1 on illiteracy, a social issue. Before discussing about illiteracy, let us have a brief introduction about social issues. Every society has some problems and these are commonly termed as social issues. It is a problem that is affecting a considerable percentage of a nation's or global population or society. Social issues, also social problem, social evil and social conflict refers to any undesirable condition that is opposed either by the whole society or by a section of the society. It is an unwanted social condition, often objectionable, the continuation of which is harmful for the society. Social issues are the problem that influence the common citizen of the country. They can be part of our tradition or cultural stereotypes. Social issues are caused by some factors that are beyond the control of a single individual and causes a lot of conflict on the moral grounds. The objectives of these lessons are that it highlights on the conceptual analysis of social issues and illiteracy as a social issue, its causes, effects, constitutional provisions and various government schemes to improve literacy in India. When a particular social phenomena or condition disturbs the social order and hinders social working of social institution, that comes to be identified as social problem. At the initial phase, such conditions are neglected since they do not have any serious adverse effects on the social system, but gradually they get accumulated and begin to affect normal social life. Then such condition is recognized as a social problem. Once social problems takes roots and develops beyond the bounds of tolerance, there arises resentment against it and there is a demand for remedy in the interest of social harmony. Now we will discuss the definition of social problem. According to E. Rapp and G.J. Селзинка, social problem is a problem in human relationship which seriously threatens society itself or impedes the important aspirations of many people. In regard to the first aspect, they say a social problem exists when organized society's ability to order relationship among people seems to be failing, when its institutions are faltering, its laws are being flouted, the transmission of its values from one generation to the next is breaking down, framework of expectation is being shaken. A social problem being thus defined, juvenile delinquency is to be seen as a breakdown in society itself. Now, the nature of social problems. The social problem is connected to majority of the members of society. According to Bernard, the repressive and tense condition consequent of social problems may be involving 3 types of elements. First, tension factors which challenge some values of society. Second, social values which are being challenged. And third, intense reaction of individuals and groups to challenge. Now, the following characteristics exhibits the nature of social problems. First one, the disintegrative part. Social problems directly or indirectly disintegrate social system. Social problem causes dissatisfaction, suffering and misery. It seriously affects the values of the society. It is always disintegrating and disorganizing. It is pathological. It is harmful for the society. Second, multiple causes. The social problems have no singular simple cause. Each problem has a complex history and is usually not due to one but due to many causes, such as war, poverty, unemployment or crimes do not offer single or simple explanation for their occurrence. Sometimes one problem is so interwoven with other problems that it cannot be solved apart from them. Third characteristics, it is interconnected. Many of the social issues are interconnected and if one is solved, then others also get solved. For example, illiteracy, unemployment, poverty and crime are interconnected. Fourth, the remedies. The solution of the complex social problems requires various multi-sided remedies. Social issues need a collective approach to be solved. Fifth characteristic is the relative concept. Social problem is relative concept. What we call a social problem in our society may not be a problem in other society. Similarly, a social problem today may not be a problem tomorrow. 6. The functional value. Social problem, though disintegrative, has functional value since its cure leads to social problem and social development. India is facing a large number of social issues such as caste system, racism, child labor, labor problems, illiteracy, gender inequality, superstition, communalisms, and many more. Social issues, if not solved, can lead to violence and anarchy. Now, we will discuss about illiteracy as a social issue. India is the second largest populated country in the world and its illiteracy rate is also high. Although many initiatives and measures taken by the government have reduced illiteracy to a large extent, still nearly 287 million people in India are illiterates. Even though the illiteracy rate has increased 6 times since the British rule from 12% to 74%, still the population of the illiterate is highest. Although there is an achievement of increasing the illiteracy rate given the larger population, however, it cannot be ignored that 1 in every 4 people in the country is illiterate and he or she cannot read or write. There are many reasons contributing to the issue. There is gender imbalance, income disparity, state imbalances, caste technological barriers, which leads to the illiteracy rate in the nation. Another reason beyond this problem is the inadequate school facilities. The staff employed in most government schools are unskilled and inefficient. Lack of proper sanitation is another reason for children dropping out from school. Commercialization of education is also one factor that has led to the declining state of education. With the ever-growing population, reducing illiteracy in India continues to be a challenge for our nation. A level of literacy and ability to attend education is the backbone of development in a country like India. It enhances the quality of life, awareness amongst population and skill levels in the society. It also hinders the economic progress of our nation and this must be eradicated. Now, what is literacy? Literacy is defined as the ability to read and write. It is an evolving concept which not only entails the grasping abilities and printed text, but also the abilities to adapt visual entities and technological awareness as well. It happens to be a multidimensional concept which keeps on adding new parameters to it with respect to the developments that are taking place in a globalized world. According to UNESCO, literacy is the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate and commute using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. Literacy involves a continuum of learning in enabling individuals to achieve their goals, to develop their knowledge and potential and to participate fully in their community and wider society. The concept of functional illiteracy, which has equal relevance, means an individual may have basic reading, writing and numerical skills, but cannot apply them to accomplish tasks that are necessary to make informed choices and participate fully in everyday life. Such tasks may include reading a medicine bill, reading a nutritional label on a food product, reading and responding to correspondence in the workplace, reading a bank statement, balancing a checkbook, filling out a job application, filling out a home loan application, reading and responding to correspondence in the workplace, comparing the cost of 2 items to work out which one offers the best value, etc. Poor literacy also limits a person's ability to engage in activities that require other critical thinking or a solid base of literacy and numeracy skill. Such activities may include understanding government policies and voting in elections, using a computer to do banking or interact with government agencies, calculating the cost and potential return of a financial investment, using a computer or smartphone to look up and access to up-to-date news and information, communicate with others via email or social networking sites, or shop online, read product reviews and user feedback and get the best policies for goods and services. Completing a higher education degree or training, analyzing sophisticated media and advertising messages, particularly for get-rich-quick scams and assisting children with their homework. Now we will discuss about literacy in India. According to the 2011 census, any person aged 7 and above and has the ability to read and write is considered literate. The average literacy rate in India stands at 74.04%, while Kerala has the highest literacy rate in India at 93.91%. Bihar has the least literacy rate in India of 63.82%. Radical reconstruction of education was proposed in his resolution on National Policy on Education adopted in 1968. It involved transformation of the system to relate it more closely to the life of the people, a continuous effort to expand educational opportunity, a sustained effort to raise the quality of education at all stages, an emphasis on the development of science and technology, cultivation of moral and social values. In 1986, stress was laid on the educational policy and the provision of equal opportunities of education to all classes. There has been some progress in the field of education since the 1950s, and according to 2011 census, India managed to achieve a literacy rate of 74.04% as opposed to 64.80% in 2001. This notable shift also highlights an increase in female literacy over the years. While the female literacy rate in India as per census 2001 was 53.7%. Census 2011 recorded it at 65.5%. Though not radical, but some progress has been made in improving literacy in India, especially after the implementation of free education in rural areas for both men and women. States and union territories like Mizoram, Tripura, Goa, Kerala, Puducherry, Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, Daman and Diu, National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Andaman Nicobar Islands have shown massive or great improvement in the last one decade. These states have a literacy rate of almost 85% according to the 2011 census. Census 2011 was the 15th official survey conducted in India. After the end of the British rule in India in 1947, the literacy rate of India stood at 12%. Since then, the country has advanced economically, socially and globally, but a lot is yet to be done. Now we will discuss the causes of illiteracy. Illiteracy in India is a problem which has complex dimensions attached to it. Illiteracy in India is more or less concerned with different forms of disparities that exist in the country. There are gender imbalances, income imbalances, state imbalances, caste imbalances, technological barriers which shape the literacy rates that exist in the country. India possesses the largest illiterate population. Literacy rate stood at 82.14% for men in 2011 and 65.46% for women. Around the world, the impact of illiteracy on personal income varies, but it is clear earning potential is limited. Illiterate people earn 30% to 40% less than their literate counterparts and do not have the literacy skills required to undertake further vocational education or training to improve their earning capacity. One study shows the income of a person with poor literacy stays about the same throughout their working life. However, individuals with good literacy and numeracy skills can expect their incomes to increase at least 2 to 3 times what they were earning at the beginning of their careers. Young people who do not complete primary schooling are less likely to obtain jobs good enough to avoid poverty. The main causes of poverty, let us discuss about them one by one. The first one, high level of poverty. There is a strong link between illiteracy and poverty. There is a significant negative correlation between measures of poverty and the adult literacy rate at both the international level and at the subnational level in countries such as India. That is, where poverty rates are higher, literacy rates tend to be lower. Billions of people cannot attend class because they are poor and they are needed to work to fulfill their needs for their daily life. Hunger and poverty are the concerns of millions of people. They have fewer choice in jobs, education, housing and other things. Poverty and illiteracy form a cycle that is difficult to break. Second cause is social disparities. Under that, gender disparity. Gender disparity are either non-existent or minimal in countries with adult literacy rates at 95% or above. In almost all other countries, men have better reading and writing skills than women. The gap between the female and male literacy rates is considerably greater in countries where the overall adult literacy rate is lower. Now, age disparity. In all countries, literacy rates vary across age groups. Typically, individuals aged 15 to 34 years have higher literacy levels than those aged 45 and older, reflecting in large part the expansion of mass schooling throughout the world. In some countries, there are small decreases in literacy rates among younger age groups and then sharp declines among older age groups, especially after the age of 45. In other cases, the decline in literacy rates across age groups is fairly linear. Unsurprisingly, age disparities are smaller in high literacy countries and larger and low literacy countries. The literacy rates among 25 to 34 years old is twice that of those aged 65 and older. The another cause is geographical disparities. Rural residents have a lower literacy levels than urban residents, whether measured from census data or from household data. The disparities between urban and rural population tend to be greater in those poor countries in which overall literacy rates are comparatively low. In large measures, the influence of urbanization on literacy acquisition and retention reflects differences in access to formal schooling, higher quality education and non-formal education program. Urban residents, in contrast to rural residents, tends also to reside in more literate environment which are more demanding of literacy skills in written languages and which offer greater rewards to those who possess them. Regional or provincial differences in literacy rates are particularly prevalent in countries with large illiterate populations. Next cause is limited resources. Many poor countries are cutting their public spending on social services such as education, and these countries are already burdened by foreign debt. Another cause is the war. War and civil strike disturbs the education. Schools are destroyed and often children are often needed in the war effort. During the 1990s, the problem of illiteracy was quite acute in the 4 states of the Hindi heartland, that is Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. But the statistics provided by the Census of India 2000 show that the rate of improvement has been faster in each of these states than in India as a whole. In 1991, the gender gap in Rajasthan increased in 24 of the 27 districts, but in 2001, it increased only in 13 of the 32 districts. Although the situation that prevailed in 1991 has changed and some of the high literacy districts now have a low gender gap, the overall position is not positive. This may be a temporary phase. A stage has been reached where overall literacy cannot increase without a significant increase in female literacy. The emphasis therefore has shifted to women's education. Now, we will discuss about the effects of illiteracy in India. The biggest effect of illiteracy in India is poverty. Poverty also happens to be the single biggest cause of illiteracy in India and a precursor to all other effects. The inability to attain basic, nutritious and potable water are the more popularly quoted effects of poverty in India. But the king of the hill when it comes to effects that can fracture an individual remains illiteracy. After all, it is one of those things that actually lets people pick themselves up and out of poverty, even if they have to do it by the way of their bootstraps. The thing about illiteracy in India and its effects is that they all compound together to form a burden that is passed on from generations to generation, and if history is any indication, it is one that has been increasing with each generational shift and with each year added to the calendar. Now, we will discuss about the constitutional provisions to eradicate illiteracy. The Supreme Court in a ruling in 1993 said that children had a fundamental right to free education, and thus in the year 2003, the right to education was incorporated in the Constitution under the Constitution 83rd Amendment 2000. Despite this, the country couldn't provide free and compulsory education of children up to 14 years of age within 10 years of the bill coming into effect under Article 45 of the Constitution. Several other schemes too had been launched to ensure the right to education in the country. Therefore, the Constitution of India recognizes the importance of education for all. Therefore, it lays down several provisions to ensure proper and effective implementation of educational rights in the country, and these provisions include: first one, education of minorities. Article 30 of the Indian Constitution gives all minorities the right to establish and administer institutions of their own choices. Second, free and compulsory education. The Constitution of India under Article 41, 45 and 46 of the Directive Principles of State Policy instructs the state to ensure that all citizens should receive free education. Equality of opportunity in education institution. The fundamental right of equality clearly signifies that in the eyes of law, no one can be discriminated on the basis of status, caste, sex, class or creed. Equal opportunities should be provided to everyone in the country, including those related to education. Article 21A of the Constitution of India was amended to provide free and compulsory education as a fundamental right to all children aged between 6 to 14 years. Now, the education of weaker section. Article 15, 17 and 46 of the Indian Constitution safeguard the educational interest of weaker sections of the society. These comprises socially, economically and educationally backward families, including those belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. In the censuses prior to 1981, the literacy rate in India was calculated by taking into account the entire population. This method was modified in 1991 after finding out a more precise and accurate way of calculating the literacy rate in India. It involved excluding people aged between 0 to 6 years from the calculating process. Therefore, from the 1991, it was calculated on the basis of the people of or above 7 years of age. We discuss about the steps taken by the government to improve literacy standards in India. A number of significant programs have been taken up by the government of India to eradicate illiteracy from the country. Some of the important programs include: first one, social education. It was implemented in the first 5-year plan, that is from 1951 to 56. The program gave importance to literacy, extension, gender education, leadership training and social consciousness. The second program was 𝗪𝗓𝗔𝗧. A movement for literacy started in the rural areas, which was first started in Satara district of Maharashtra in 1959, which was later extended to other parts of the state. The program aimed at imparting literacy skills within a period of 4 months. The very important program was the National Literacy Mission program. It was set up by the Government of India on May 5th, 1988 by the late Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi, with an objective to end up literacy prevailing in the country. The aim of the mission was to educate 80 million illiterates in the age group of 15 to 35 years. The National Literacy Mission Authority, an independent wing of the Ministers of Human Resources and Development, guides the mission in the flagship of programs of the mission. The total literacy programs and the post-literacy programs were merged together under a single project, that is literacy campaigns and operational restoration in September 1999. The first successful literacy campaign by the NLM was in Kottayam, Kerala. On 5th September 2009, a new program was launched by the Government of India and named as Sakshar Bharat. The basic unit at village level is called as 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 𝗧 with only 10 illiterates to be educated, and main emphasis is given to female illiterates. The another program introduced by Indian government was 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗑𝗧. The 𝗪𝗏 𝗪𝗑𝗧 was launched in 2001 to ensure that all children in the age 6 to 14 years of age group attend school and complete 8 years of schooling by 2010. An important component of the scheme is the Education Guarantee Scheme, an alternative and innovative education meant primarily for children in areas with no formal school within a 1 kilometer radius. Another program was Samagra Shiksha. It was launched by the government with the broader goal of improving school effectiveness. It is an integrated scheme for school education extending from preschool to class 12 to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education at all levels of school education. Another important program was Midday Meal Scheme. It was launched by the Government of India in 1995. It provides that every child within the age group of 6 to 14 years studying in classes 1 to 8 who enrolls and attends the school shall be provided hot cooked nutritional meals free of charge every day so as to improve enrollment, attendance and retention in government schools. Another important program, Eklavya Model School and Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship Scheme. This program aims to encourage the students belonging to scheduled tribes community to pursue higher education. The National Policy of Education in 2020 aims at making India a global knowledge superpower by introducing several changes from the school to college level in the Indian educational system. Awareness campaigns were launched in rural areas to create awareness among people about the importance of education. They were encouraged to attend or send their children to schools. Next important program is the Digital Literacy, Digital India program. It pulls together many existing schemes by restructuring and refocusing them and then implementing them in a synchronized manner. Another program is Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharata Abhiyan. It is one of the largest initiatives of the country with a target of making citizens digitally literate. Another program, National Digital Literacy Mission. It aims to empower at least one person per household with crucial digital literacy skills by 2020. Another program is BharatNet program. It aims to have an optical fiber network in all Gram Panchayats. It is very sad that even after so many years of attaining freedom, there is still a high rate of illiteracy in India, and we are far from becoming a full literate country. People in rural areas are still struggling with basic facilities such as food, water and shelter. Education perhaps has taken a back seat due to the primitive mindsets of the people. However, there have been many initiatives by the government which have been successful in evolving in people in rural areas. It is true to say that only government cannot handle the difficult mission of eliminating illiteracy in India. People have to volunteer to carry out this national obligation so that the drive of eradicating the illiteracy in India can turn into a huge mass movement. Assuredly, India can rank behind over the socio-economic development in comparison to the other nations if the intellectuals of the nations do not think sincerely over this harmful sickness of illiteracy in India.